What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend and you've got a little bit of rest and relaxation in before the work week begins. Let's go ahead and get into today's video. You might notice the wallpaper here is a little familiar. I have decided to move my Void Linux / DWM install configuration setup, whatever you want to call it, from a virtual machine onto my current hardware. I've done that because part of the process is going to be setting up the status bar, and while it's possible to set up a status bar in a VM, it's just easier to do it and to show things on actual hardware and on my machine. So what we've done is we have actually moved everything over. I think I have DWM built exactly or as close to exactly as it was in the VM now on my hardware, and we can continue on from here. I have made a couple more changes already. I figure I've covered patching pretty well in my last few videos, so I just installed a couple patches to get things going. So let's just go ahead and take a look at what I've done so far. One of the main things I've done is if I launch ST terminal here, you can see I've got some transparency and I have a slightly larger font going on. So let's actually clear the screen here and let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And let's CD into our suckless directory and then into ST. And let's do an ls. And you can see I have the alpha patch right here that I installed, which gives us this nice transparency. I have the blinking cursor, so I changed out my cursor. I have the scroll back patch added as well. So I've just added a few things on ST. If we vim into config.h, when you come in here, basically what you want to do is if you want to change your font, because again, that's another thing I've changed. If you want to change your font, you go right here to this line 7 in your config.def.h or your config.h, whichever way you're doing it, and you change this right here. So you can see static char font. I've changed it to Fantastic Sans Mono. I actually changed the pixel size from 12 to 14, so I increased the pixel size a little bit as well. And then if we scroll down here a little bit farther, I don't remember which line it was on, so we'll just kind of scroll here a little bit and go with. We've got our colors here, which I'm going to change colors as well. Maybe not right this minute, but we have our colors, and then we have our cursor style right here. If we scroll up a little bit, you can see you have all these different styles of cursor you can use. And I have chosen cursor number 3, which right here is the blinking underline, which you can see activated right here. So I do have that going as well. These are your colors right here. You can change your color screen. Background opacity right here. This is where you're going to want to go ahead and change that. If you want it to be more opaque or if you want it to be more transparent, you can change this value right here and then recompile your ST configuration. So that's what I've done with ST so far. If we go ahead and write and quit out of there, let's do Control B, which is going to take us back up in the file tree, and we're going to CD into DWM as well now. So you can see the gaps that we had. If I launch another terminal here, the gaps aren't quite as drastic, and that is mainly because I am not a huge fan of gaps. I closed the wrong window, so let's go ahead and clear that. I'm not a huge fan of gaps myself. I do like having them, minor gaps, just enough to where I can break up the windows a little bit, but I don't like the massive gaps that a lot of these systems are showing. I think it's just kind of a waste of real estate, in my personal opinion, and it doesn't quite do anything aside from have an aesthetic feel. And if that's for you, that's great. You go ahead and do that. But if we CD back into suckless and CD into DWM, and we vim into config.def, if I could type, .h, and hit enter, you can see right here the gaps. We have gaps, inner horizontal, inner vertical, horizontal outer, and vertical outer. So these right here are going to be your gaps. And so you can change these to whatever number you want. If you want larger gaps or if you want smaller gaps, you just look right here at the top of the line, the static const unsigned int, and then gap IH, IV, OH, and OV. Make those numbers whatever you want. You can come down here and we can change our font in DWM as well, which is going to change all the font up in our bar here. We can change that to whatever font we have on our system. So if I wanted to change that to the Fantastic Sans Mono, I would just go ahead and put that right in there as well. I'm going to leave it as is for now. These are our colors. So one thing I want to do right now is I want to change the color scheme because I'm not a huge fan of the DWM blue that goes on up here, and I don't like having a full colored bar for the title section. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a color in here. So we're going to say static const char and then color underscore, and we're going to do purple. And then we're going to do open and closing square bracket. We're going to tab over, and we're going to do equals, and then in double quotes, we're going to go ahead and put the color we want. And I believe it's 6D60AE is the color that I want. We're going to close those double quotes, and we're going to put a semicolon. And then down here, in the scheme normal and scheme select, this is going to change all this up here. So what we're going to do is under scheme normal, we have foreground, background, and border. So for the foreground, I'm going to go ahead and make the foreground, we're going to go with gray 1, and with the background I'm going to make that purple, and the border is going to go ahead and be purple as well. And then down here for the selected scheme, actually no, we're going to make this be, let's do the gray 3. I think that's what it was before. And then down here we're going to scheme select the foreground. We're going to change the foreground to purple. We're going to change the background, and I think I need to change these two around. 3 and 1. And then for the background we're going to do the gray, oops, it's AY. I'm one of those EY people, and that's going to give us a problem. So gray, and we want the 1. And then for the border, we want, and actually let's make color normal for this one. We'll do gray underscore, or no, just gray 1. Yeah, okay. So right now we should have, this should change to the foreground color is going to be gray 3, which is that same color that it is now. The background color is going to be gray 1, which is this darker color, and then the border is going to be the gray 1, which is the darker color. Then when we have a selected workspace or window, we are going to have the foreground color, which is going to be the number, is going to be purple. The background is going to be stay the dark gray, and the border of the window should be purple. So that should take care of that. Let's go ahead and write and quit, and let's do a cp of config.dev.h. Yes, we want to overwrite, and we want to do a sudo make clean install. We're going to hit enter. That should build just fine with no errors, because all we've done is add and change some colors. And let's do a mod control shift Q to reload our configuration file. And there we go. Now we have a bar that is a singular color, and our color change is going to be on our foreground. So you can see the ST's got kind of a purple color, and the foreground of the workspace has a purple color. So if we launch multiple windows here, the foreground color is really close to white, but you can tell if we increase the pixel size of the border, you'd be able to tell a little bit easier. But now we have some color difference in our bar. Let's go ahead and change the color. If we launch Dmenu, you can see we've got that blue here. Let's match that purple here in Dmenu. So we could actually go into the Dmenu configuration, and we could, the config.dev.h for the Dmenu, or we can actually just come right in here to config, vim, excuse me, into config.dev.h and hit enter, and we're going to look for Dmenu, and we're going to hit next, and then right here in this command, Dmenu command, we have Dmenu run, font, Dmenu font, and then we have colors right here. So right now we have background color, normal background and normal foreground are gray and gray. We want to do SB, which is going to be selected background. So right here, selected background, it is the blue. Well, we want to change that blue, and let's make it the purple. So we've done that, and we write and quit. We're going to do a cp of config.dev.h. Yes, we want to overwrite. We're going to do a sudo make install. We're going to go ahead and let that run. And now if I do a mod p, that didn't work. Let's go ahead and reload our configuration file, Jake. That is what we need to do first. Mod control shift Q, relog, and now we're going to mod p, and now we have that purple color as our accent color for our Dmenu as well. And so if you want to actually go in and let's go cd ... and let's do a cd into Dmenu, and do a vim into config.def.h and hit enter, and you can see right here we have the scheme set up right here, and you can see I have scheme select and I have 6060AE for the background. Now I have that set in my config.def.h for the Dmenu, but watch what happens here. If I change this in the Dmenu section, and let's make this the let's do a green color, I think so, 5F87 5F. So 5F87AF 5F. I don't know. I can't remember if that's the green or not, but we'll just go with that. Then we're going to write and quit. We're going to do a CP of config.def.h to config.h. Yes, we want to overwrite it. And let's do a sudo make clean install. And now if I do mod p, let's see if that changed our Dmenu background. Look at that, it didn't. But what happens if I do Dmenu underscore run and hit enter? Now we have a green one. Why? What's the difference? Because when you use the key binding in the DWM config.def.h or config.h file, the key binding that's already stored in there, if we look again, let's cd back, cd into DWM, clear the screen, and let's vim into config.def.h again. Boy, I'm gonna, okay. And we scroll back down to the Dmenu section. You can see Dmenu gives a bunch of flags with the key binding that is already preset in DWM. So it gives you all these flags to run. So it's giving you the font, it's giving you all the colors. Whereas when you run Dmenu from the terminal, or if you actually just created your own key binding and ran the Dmenu run command, it would take the Dmenu configuration file from the Dmenu directory as opposed to the DWM. So make sure you're paying attention to that when you're changing your DWM configuration and your Dmenu configuration. Depending on how you launch Dmenu is going to determine which Dmenu configuration it follows or which flags it uses. If it's the same ones that are in the DWM file, that's going to be your basic, your main command that DWM ships with. If you create your own key binding to launch Dmenu, it is going to actually use the Dmenu configuration file as opposed to DWM. So just a side note, just to make sure you're aware of what's going on with that. Now, I have also included the XF86 key bindings for like volume. Right in here, you can see you need to add a few things to your config.h in DWM. And basically what it is you add this static const char Dmenu command and term command are already going to be in here already. So what you need to do right below them is add static const char, and we have mute command, volume up command, volume down command, br up command, and br down command. So that's mute, volume up, volume down, brightness up, and brightness down. And then we're going to do equals, and in curly braces you need to put what you want to run in here. We're going to run the pactal command for pulse audio. Then we're going to run set sync mute, set sync volume, set sync volume, and you can see these are separated. Each section of these is separated by a comma, and they're in double quotes. Then we're going to put 0, and then we are going to do comma again, and this is going to be toggle. So that's going to be your mute command, is going to toggle mute on and off. And then vol up command is going to be plus 5%, and vol down command is going to be minus 5%. Again, we're going to do backlight, so we're going to have sudo backlight increment 10, and sudo backlight decrement, however you want to pronounce it, 10. And so once we get those added in there, when we come down here, we are going to add the key bindings, and we're going to put them in curly braces, and we're going to have zeros for the mod key, and then we're going to have commas, and then we're just going to put the XF86 KX, or XK underscore, and then audio mute, audio lower volume, audio raise volume, mon brightness up, and mon brightness down. Those are going to spawn, and they're going to spawn the command that we just added in up here. So you can see mute, vol up, vol down, br up, br down, and we have over here .v equals mute command, vol down command, vol up command, br up command, br down command. So that's how we go ahead and add the ability to use our multimedia keys in DWM. So that's just a couple things I've got going on and I've got done already. I've created those and got them up and working. So I actually have done all this because as much as I love Herb's Luft and I don't plan on going away from it forever, I think I'm going to switch over to DWM for a little bit. And I'm going to play around in DWM. I'm really enjoying building it again. I've always liked DWM. It's been one of my favorite window managers. So I think I'm going to switch over to DWM for a while. And I'm going to play around in DWM. So let's go ahead and quit out of here, and we are going to do a Control B, which will take us back in the file tree, and we're going to CD into our SL status. And we're going to hit enter, and now let's go ahead and vim into config.f.h here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to add a few things for our status bar up here. And if we scroll to the bottom with a capital G, you can see we have date time set up already, and it's running FT. So we have our date here, which is 3/26/23, and then we have our time right here, which is 13:30. So it's 1:30. Let's go ahead and add some other functions going on here in SL status. So what we need to do is we need to go through and we need to figure out what we want to add. Well, one thing I want to add is battery, because I am on a laptop, so I need to make sure I'm aware of my battery percentage. So we are going to do battery percent right here. So it's battery underscore pers, and then it is BAT0. So we're going to come down here, and let's go ahead and we are going to let's go above this. So we're going to do a curly brace, and we are going to say battery underscore pers, and then we're going to hit comma, we're going to tab, we're going to do double quote, we're going to say %s, and then we're going to put a couple spaces so we have a break between our modules on SL status. We're going to close the parentheses, we're going to put another comma, we're going to tab over again, and in double quotes we're going to do BAT0, and we're going to close the double quotes, space, close the curly brace, we're going to hit a comma, and let's go ahead and check that. So we are going to write and quit. We're going to CP our config.f.h to config.h again. Yes, we want to override it. We are going to do a sudo make clean install. We're going to hit enter. That's going to run. It is going to build our SL status with no errors. If you look up here, you can just watch. We have the date and time right now. And if I do a pkill SL status and hit enter, that's going to kill SL status. And now I'm going to reload with a mod control shift Q. And now you can see right here in front of that, I have an 85 or down to 84 now. So my battery is now at 84%. If we vim back into config.def.h and we do capital G to run to the bottom here, say we want to add a percent in there. So I want it to say 84%. I could actually just do insert mode, get rid of the spaces, and do %, and then do a space and a space. And then if we write and quit and we copy, yes, we want to copy. We want to do a clean install. We want to pkill, and then we want to mod control shift Q. Now you can see we've got the percent sign there, and we have 84% of our battery life left. You can put icons up here as well. You can do all kinds of stuff. So you can see we've got batteries, so let's go ahead and vim back into it. Let's go ahead and run a command. Let's say it's not one of these that's just simple and easy to do. So say we want to run a command. Let's do this right here. We have run command. So let's do shift G is going to take us to the bottom, and let's put it in front of that. So we are going to create a line there. We're going to do a curly brace. We're going to do run underscore command, comma, tab over. We are going to do %2s and then space space. Actually, let's put a percent there as well. % space space. We're going to close that. We're going to put a comma. We're going to tab over, and then we are actually going to run our command. And the way we do that is we're going to say echo in the double quotes, space, and then we are going to run our command. So we're going to do $, and then in the parentheses we're going to put PA mixer, because that's what I'm using, and then we're going to do -- get - volume. And then once that is done, we are going to close the parenthesis. We are going to close the double quotes. We're going to put a space, and we're going to close the curly brace and put a comma. And then we are going to write and quit. We are going to copy, yes, override. Let's clear the screen. We are going to do a sudo make clean install. We do that with no errors. Let's clear the screen again. We're going to pkill SL status, and then we're going to reload our configuration file. And you can see Linux in their weird volumes, but we have 138%. Now, remember, I installed that, or I changed my Dmenu configuration file to actually allow my key bindings to work for my multimedia keys. So let's go ahead and see if my multimedia keys work. So if I press mute, it should mute that, which it's not going to show. But if I push volume down, we should get a change up there. Let's see what happens. Volume down, look at that. So it registers, it shows what's going on. Let's actually click over to a different page or a different workspace here. Let's launch the Brave browser, and let's actually go over to YouTube, and let's go to my channel, so that way I'm not worried about anybody else's stuff. And let's go ahead and launch a video. Let's go with let's just look at this one real quick. And you can see we have
what's going on, everybody. Happy Sunday afternoon. I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. I know it's almost over and it's about time to go back to work, but hey, let's just enjoy the last few hours we have. All right,
mute it. We have no more sound. So everything's working as far as multimedia keys. As far as SL status, it's reading correctly. You can change the color in SL status too. Again, I've never ever before this point used SL status, so I still have a little bit to figure out on it. I know you can change colors in it, but I haven't got that far yet. But let's go ahead and quit out of that window. So that takes care of a little bit of SL status. That takes care of some of the configuration changes we've made to ST, Simple Terminal. So let's go ahead and go with a little bit more of the patching. The one thing I really have to have on pretty much all of my machines is scratch pads. I have to have scratch pads. So let's go ahead and launch Brave again. We're going to launch the Brave browser, and we are going to go to suckless.org. Now, we are going to go into DWM, and we're going to go to patches. And we are going to go down to scratch pads, I think is the one I've used. So let's scroll down here, and there's a scratch pad or scratch pads. Let's take a look. I got to look at the diff here real quick to see. Let's go ahead and launch that. And I should be able to tell by, okay, so this is the one that I have used before. Okay, so yeah, this is the one we're going to use. So basically what we need to do is we need to download this patch, and I know we've gone through patching numerous times, but we're going to download that patch. We are actually going to take it into jake.config suckless into our DWM, and then we are going to save it here. So let's go back to workspace 1. We're going to do Control B, which is going to take us back. We're going to CD into DWM. We're going to do an LS, and you can see we've got the scratch pad patch right here. So let's do a patch-p1 and then DWM scratch pad, and we're going to hit enter. Okay, and so we failed in 2 spots. Now remember, we've gone through this before, so let's do a vim config.def.h.reject, because I believe that's the first one. Yep, failed at 159, so we're going to do that one, and we're going to look, and what did it not do? So right here we didn't add in that, and possibly not that. So let's go ahead and do a Control WS, which is going to split my screen to the bottom, and we are going to edit config.def.h. So let's go to term command, turn cmd, there we go, and hit enter. Now you can see we've got dmenu, term command, and then we don't have the scratchpad name, scratchpad command. We have the volume commands and all that. So basically what we need to do is we need to come up here, we need to do V, and we're going to go down, and then $, which is going to highlight everything. We're going to yank, we're going to come back down here, and we're going to just paste them right in here. So we're going to do Control V and delete those plus signs. So now we have scratchpad, we have one scratchpad name, and we have one scratchpad, and the command is it's going to launch ST with the title scratchpad name, which is this right here. See, scratchpad name. And then we have G, which is going to be geometry, and the geometry of the window is going to be 120 by 34. And that's going to be that. Now we need to make sure we added the mod key. So let's go ahead and scroll down here and let's do grave. And we hit enter and we can see we do not have grave in the bottom here. So what we need to do is we need to do a Control W, come up here. Again, we need to do V, $ is going to highlight the whole line. We're going to yank with Y. Control W down is going to bring us down here. And they have it right below SK return, so let's just go ahead and put it there. We're going to go into insert mode, we're going to create a space, we're going to paste, we're going to go into insert mode, get rid of that, bring that back, and now we have the key binding we need. So we're going to write and quit that, we're going to write and quit that. So now we have the key binding, but what else did we fail at? We failed in our DWM.C at line 1652. So let's vim into DWM.C.reject and hit enter. And you can see right here. So if arg v dmenu command, then dmenu mon, and then right under that we need to add this select mon command. So let's go ahead and do a Control W S to split. We're going to edit dwm.c, and then we are going to search for if arg v equals dmenu cmd. And we're going to hit enter, and it is not found in the bottom down here. Okay, so that's going to be possibly an issue that's going to maybe hurt us a little bit. So let's go ahead and it was supposed to be at line 1652, but we've changed things so much around in here, but we're going to go ahead and do 1652J, or 1652, nope. I can't remember. I've changed my. There we go. Sorry about that. So we need to figure out where we're going to put select mon or cellmon tag set. So let's look for dmenu cmd. Okay, that one's not found. So let's look for dmenu mon. Nope, that one's not found either. Let's look for if fork and hit enter. Okay, so that looks like if dpy close connect none. Okay, so that's where we need to be. So we need to go into insert mode. We need to Control W. Oops, undo that. Control W, and we need to do a V and then $, and we're going to yank. Control W down, and we're going to do a P to paste, and delete that line, and then we are going to delete that, and that should be it for that. And then we're going to write and quit. We are going to write and quit. Let's clear the screen. Let's do a CP and config.def.h to config.h. Yes. We're going to do a sudo make clean install and hit enter. And keep our fingers crossed that this builds okay, and it did. Now we are going to do a mod Control Shift Q to reload. Now when I do mod grave, this should launch a ST terminal scratchpad. So let's just see what happens if I do mod and we do grave, and there we go. I have a scratchpad terminal for ST that is now launched, and I can go in and I can change that geometry. Now you can actually go in and let's go ahead and look at our vim config or config.def.h, not config. Geez, Jake, you are on a roll. There we go. Let's go back down to scratchpad name. Now you can set up as many scratchpads in this form as you would like. All you do is you give the scratchpad, you change this constant car or constant char, and then you do constant char scratchpad command, or change it to wherever. But actually, let's go ahead and I've done this on my other one. So let's go ahead and go into my repo here real quick. I have this built already on my other, and we're going to go into our void suckless. And we're going to go into DWM, and let's go into config.h. Now if we scroll down here, you will find that I have multiple scratch pads set up. Maybe I don't. Not in this one. Did I actually do anything with my config dot, let's see if it's in config.def.h. Here we go. So, I used a different scratchpad. I used scratchpads, I think, so I might have to change that. But here's my scratchpads for my old setup. So we have constant char sp command 1, and then you put in the same things, the st-name, sp term, g for geometry, and 120 by 34. So this is a different one of the patches to use. So I thought I had used that other patch this last time, but I guess not. But anyway, we do still see that we have a scratchpad right there, and that should be just fine. I think this is actually, let's go back to sucklist.org and take a look at something here. So let's do Control T, and we'll do sucklist.org, and go back into DWM. Go into patches. Maybe it was scratchpads plural that I used last time. So we're going to scroll down to scratchpads. Let's click on that, and let's go ahead and look at that one. And let's scroll down. Yep, okay, this is the one I used. I apologize. This is the one I used. So you can patch the same exact way, again, with scratchpad commands, or with the diff. And actually use this patch instead to have multiple scratch pads, and it's a little bit easier to set this one up. And then you have your toggle scratch command over here. I apologize, that was my bad for using the wrong one that I intended to show you, but we do still have a working scratch pad. So that kind of gives you an idea how to do that. So basically today we've covered, we added the scratchpad process. We've done a little bit of decoration and making our system look a little bit better. We have a working status bar, and we know how to add commands to that. I've gone over adding multimedia keys, and so I think that's about it for today. I'm actually a little bit busy today, so I'm running out of time. I wanted to sit down and have like an hour-long video today, but I think that's just not going to be a possibility. But we have actually gone from having a kind of bland looking DWM setup from the get-go to having a really nice looking, so far, not perfect by any means, but we have a nice working, nice looking DWM setup now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Get some rest before we're back to work tomorrow. And hey, just stay safe, all right? Love y'all. God bless.